So let's talk about whether sports betting is ruining the fan experience or not. Personally, I've been sports betting for about 8 years, so I've been able to analyze sports betting's popularity in contrast to, these highly regulated rules and league policies they have for each major league, NFL, MLB, NBA. I've been able to watch it and see things shift somewhat. And I can say that from my perspective, sports betting is ruining, watching sports as a fan because of how much they promote it. Now, prior to, I would say like 2022, 2021, right around, the pandemic, they started promoting sports betting heavily. And I don't know if that's a coincidence to do with, the fact that a lot of industries lost money during that whole ordeal in the 2020s, can't really say the name, but you know what I'm talking about, the whole sickness. So around that time, they started promoting all of these companies very heavy. Prize Picks, Underdog, um, Dabble, Better. These are more recent ones, but Underdog and Prize Picks, FanDuel, they've been around for a while, but they haven't been promoted and especially not endorsed by the NBA for a long time. It's not until these recent years where I'm seeing ads everywhere, sponsors for every YouTube channel being Prize Picks. If it's sports oriented, it's going to be Prize Picks, DraftKings, or Underdog sponsoring them, which is nothing wrong with sports betting, but I think it's a slippery slope when you're talking about being a fan of a sport and then having to be a disciplined gambler because gambling is already a slippery slope because you can make a lot of money, you can lose a lot of money. And in my experience, they are promoting these parlays to people's to a deficit for people. It's not really working in most people's favor. I looked at my numbers and this season I've been doing okay. I've made, you know, almost 2,000 in a couple of months, but it pretty much was 500 because you get overzealous when you win money betting. Anybody knows you make some money in sports betting, it's like going to the casino. You're probably going to put the money back in the machine. It takes a disciplined person to avoid that. But me just watching the games made me realize I have to just slow down on sports betting because it's taken away from my enjoyment of the sport. I'm critiquing it for different reasons. I'm looking at the game in different angles for a whole different agenda to make money. And that doesn't make me any difference than an NFL owner or somebody who's invested into the game for financial reasons. Well, in fact, it does make a big difference because they own the team. I don't. I'm trying to profit off the performances of these players, but it's very hard to consistently win money. And then to couple that with the fact that they promote it so heavily and it creates this illusion that there's this whole heap of money that people are leaving on the table. I will tell you, parlays, stay away from parlays. It's very hard to predict multiple outcomes. Try predicting one sports outcome a day, just one. Pick one prop bet, one money line spread, over under. Pick one a day and try to do that for 30 days, and you'll see why a parlay is terrible because you're combining two, three, four, five, some people 8 leg bets. And when you just start off as a fan, just enjoying the game, it does take away from the enjoyment, just the pureness of being a fan and a spectator. But there is ways to curtail that. I think you just have to have the mindset to understand you don't need to gamble every game. Don't do parlays, but that takes away a lot of the fun for most people who do sports betting because they want to make a lot of money in a short amount of time. And that's why these sports books, these new companies, the old ones, Prize Picks, Underdogs, they're making a killing, but at the same time, they're not really. I won't want to say warn people because most people know about the dangers of gambling, but sports betting is bad because it's in the comfort of your palm. Pause. It's something that you could do anywhere at any time, and there's no one to stop you. In a casino, I think they do have people that'll pull you off a machine, or they might tell you you've been here too long, maybe. But it probably would have to be days of you being in the casino because they're not gonna just stop making money if there's money to be made. But it's very dangerous gambling in your hand. It's very dangerous putting $20 down if you don't know what you're doing. Like you can learn everything about the game, but that doesn't mean you have a understanding of the outcome because the game has to be played. And for me, sports betting, I know that any little thing can change the outcome of a game. A player can have an off night. A player can feel like not playing. I'm sure, just like we go to work every day, it's people that get on the court or get on the field and don't want to perform. And they make millions of dollars to do so, but they still do that. I had just placed the wager yesterday, and it was a 5 leg parlay. I only needed one leg, and it was this player. I won't name him, protect or respect his name and integrity. But you probably could figure it out. His number, his prop bet number was 21. He scored 14 in the first half, and he scored 5 in the second half. So he scored 2 points in the third quarter and 3 points in the fourth quarter. And when things like that happen, it makes you feel like the game is rigged. All the stuff that comes out when you lose a bet. The game is rigged. I'm not betting anymore. This is terrible. Things you should have thought about before you put your money into this random outcome. Now, I admit you can make money, but it does take away from you being a fan. You'll look at the sports differently. You'll look at commercials differently once you start understanding that they want to make sure people are spending money not only on the streaming apps to watch the game, but they're placing wagers while watching the game and before the game and after for the next games. So it's still another extension of the business, the sports business, and it's blossoming. And I don't think it's necessarily positive that the major leagues are promoting this NFL, MLB, NBA, because I do think whenever these leagues get behind a company, there's something the public doesn't know about. But that's just me. I don't think it's random. And me gambling or sports betting for years, it's gotten harder and harder to win bets consistently. And I've never seen this before where players will just underperform greatly in a quarter or a stretch. And it just, for me, it took the fun out of not only being a fan of the sports because you feel like all sports are changing anyway. People say the NFL is less physical. The NBA isn't entertaining because they don't play defense. MLB, it's an acquired taste because the dynamics of the MLB as far as entertainment are way different than NBA. With NBA, you got highlight after highlight. With the NFL, you'll have a big 60-yard touchdown or interception, pick six, forced fumble recovery. Is a lot more exciting moments. So as a fan, you can just watch TV for hours enjoying those sports. But baseball, I don't want to say it has a smaller fan base, but it has less highlights. So you don't see it on social media as often as far as it being promoted, especially with gambling. And truthfully, you're really just seeing them promote the NBA and a little bit of the NFL. But I do have to say, I think it's taken away from the enjoyment of the game because every time you turn on a sports game, they're promoting sports betting. And for me, they've never promoted it this much. So I don't feel like it's just this pure betting experience, if that's even possible. And I love the NBA. I love the NFL, the MLB. I'm an avid sports fan. But I have to say, gambling, slippery slope, is taken away from just watching the game, enjoying it, you know, and leaving satisfied with that. Now you're trying to be satisfied with two outcomes, watching the game and making money off the game. To anybody who's thinking about getting into sports betting, I would just say don't bet more than you're willing to lose. That should be obvious to people, but if you can't lose this money, don't gamble it because there's going to be an emotional attachment to the outcome of the bets, especially when you can win $300 and you only need one leg and some player just doesn't play well and that ruins your whole bet. It's just a terrible feeling. But that doesn't mean you can't gamble and have a good time and be a sports fan. But you got to know it's a very slippery slope and it's slowly taking away from the fan experience. For instance, where I live, they have a channel. I'm in South Carolina. They have a FanDuel channel. It's the Charlotte Hornets, I think the Bally Sports Network or the Bally Sports channel, but it doubles as like a FanDuel channel too. So it's growing in popularity and promotion, advertisements, etc. But you have to know that as a fan, it's worth just having the discipline, the discernment, the control. Because I'll tell you, you can make $400 off 20, but how consistently will you do that? And then when you look at how many $20 bills you placed on a wager to make 300, if you just, equal out your money with the wins and losses, it's gonna just feel like you went nowhere. So I would tell a person to enjoy the sports, but know that sports betting is dangerous. It could take away from your mental strength because you're tied to the outcome. But if you're a strong person, by all means, get the money. But yes, I do think watching these games, being into sports betting, it being harder to win bets. Watching the games is less entertaining because of the defense or the lack of defense. The refereeing in the NFL is crazy nowadays. It's just so many terrible calls, but I still love it. But it's just something I wanted to share with you guys. Let me know what you guys think in the comments to whether you think sports betting is ruining the sports fan or fan, experience, or it's making it better because we can make money now as fans, and for people who know a lot about a team or a player, they can capitalize off that. But just let me know what you think in the comments. We got more videos on the way, more on camera content. It's covered in sports. Like and subscribe. Till next time.